Hello again, friends. Welcome back to Error Code Blueberry, an unassuming Destiny podcast. My name is chillybin.
Key.
Give me that again because your audio dropped on my end.
Oh, heck, it a mech.
Thank you very much. The trials and tribulations of recording this over the internet. This right here is episode 14. We didn't get an episode in last week just to, life stuff. So we did the math behind the scenes, i.e., I just said it, means we're on week 13 of the season. You'll have to excuse there might be some background noise because my neighbors. So, like, where I'm sitting in this office, the wall to my right, on the other side of that is our garage where my car is, where it sleeps. And then next to that is the neighbor's garage. It's a 2-car garage, but really it's 1 car plus some stuff around it. They've put a ping pong table in theirs, and they have some friends over. So there is occasional like hooting and hollering and ping pong sounds.
It sounded like canned cheering.
Yeah, welcome to Erico Blueberry, and the crowd goes wild. I wish
Yeah.
that'd be
I was
amazing.
just like, did you hit something on your soundboard for a
No,
second?
oh god. Okay, I'm gonna think about soundboard ideas for the show. It's mostly just us making weird noises with our mouths, I think. Yeah, it's look, taking a week off in the middle of the Destiny quiet period is one thing, but then we managed to record the day after the giant fucking ability TWAB dropped. So I do want to talk about parts of it. What I don't want to do is dive into the numbers because I feel like I need like 3 hours just to digest all the fucking stat changes, all the different ability rebalancing, and work out like what it actually is going to mean. But I also kind of just want to wait 3 weeks and see how it feels with my current builds and then kind of go from there.
Yeah, like the numbers are fine, but we're not really going to know until it's out.
No, like some of it based on the classes I play a lot, I can kind of imagine. But it was like when they, there's been a few of those sort of balance updates recently where you're like, oh, that sounds like it's going to be really drastic, and then you get it, and it's like, oh, actually, sliding doesn't feel that much different, or whatever the change was.
But it shits the bed and it's a non-issue.
Yes. That being said, it sounds like it's going to be a giant patch that is dropping with the 30th anniversary. So very interesting times ahead. Before we get into any of that, I have a really fucking itchy forearm. So we streamed last week, and that was the day after I'd gotten, all of this done on the inside of the forearm. It's got ointment on it, so it looks kind of gross. But a week in, I am firmly in itchy town. It is everything I can do not to just like fucking slap it right now.
So I have both of my forearms done. I found forearms for some reason are just by far the worst when it comes to tattoos. And I think it's because that skin is so soft and
Yeah,
like delicate,
I want
and
to scratch it.
you're constantly like putting your arm down on it
Oh,
and
dude, I
stuff.
am so fucking conscious about where I'm putting this arm. Like, luckily, I haven't like it wasn't anything on the back of the elbow, so I can still like lean it on stuff, but I can't lay it flat. I can't like. I'm basically sitting on the couch with like this just up, and then like maybe I'll dangle my arm over the side of the couch.
Oh
But
boy, when I got my ribs done, that was a
oh,
mistake in the middle of winter. So I'm walking around like this
god,
for
yeah.
like weeks while they heal.
Yeah, whereas I'm just like washing it 3 times a day, doing all the good stuff, putting the ointment on it, but then I'll go to bed, like put ointment on it, long sleeve shirt over it, so I don't fuck up the bed. I don't get that all over the sheets. But then I'm like trying to work out a position to lie in with my arms so that I'm comfortable. I'm really stoked with how it looks, but this is the point. There's 2 points where I think fuck tattoos, and that's in the middle of like a 4 hour session getting one, and right now, where it's like,
Yeah.
this sucks, and I'm halfway through healing it.
Oh, no, there's a third point,
Yeah.
and it's when you get through the crusties
See,
when it's all flaky and
I don't really get that so much because I'm very aggressive about like a cleaning regimen with them. So
oh
that I've never
yeah, I
really
am
dealt
too.
with too much.
I scar and
Mm,
peel
mm,
quite easily. So
yeah.
like my knees are permanently scuffed because if I fall over,
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
scar for
Yeah,
6
yeah, yeah, for
months.
sure.
So I peel quite aggressively, and then having an immune disorder, I get a lot of swelling and peeling too.
Yeah. I will also say the inside of the wrist, one, very painful. Very
Ouchie!
painful.
And then your
Two,
fingers twitch.
well, yeah, two, that's where the motherfucker started. Three, really annoying for operating a computer, and that's what I do for work. So and like it's funny, the artist like pointed out my little gamer cherry because he saw the red thing and he's like, "Oh, you should try using a wrist rest." I'm like, "Nah, I've tried that and it compresses the nerves on my wrist and it's not good actually." But I have to like position my hand in a completely different place so that I'm not actually resting that on my like mouse pad in any way. Everything feels very awkward right now.
Yeah. While we're on
Anyway,
this tattoos subject of tattoos.
mm,
Tattoos of subject.
yes,
You gonna get any Destiny tattoos, you think?
I know I will. Um, I don't have like a solid idea of what yet. Part of me wants to just get the Callus Cup symbol. Um, but even then, I'm like, yeah, there's just so many symbols within Destiny that are either cool or mean something to me or would make for a good tattoo. I don't want to get like a huge piece. You know, like I got one to represent the Adventure Zone because I like really enjoyed the first story arc they put out. So I've got like a tattoo just on my chest, which is just like a basic rune kind of thing. So I think something like that, where it's like just take one of those symbols and just put it on me, because it's already such a strong design. But I don't know what, and I don't want to just like do the Titan symbol because, all right, fine, that's not. It doesn't feel as representative of my entire experience with the game. You know what I mean? I'm not just playing a Titan. There's so
Yeah.
much more to it. Um, I'll get there eventually. I know I will. I'm a sucker for it. Clearly. Here, have hundreds of dollars and hours of my time, and then I'll wear this forever. Goodbye. Anyway, we should dig into some Destiny stuff.
Yeah.
Kind of want to save the TWAB stuff till last because
It's beefy.
it is beefy, and there's a few like interesting points from earlier in the week that are pretty nice. I think the first one you threw in there was just like it was some like PlayStation tweet, PlayStation article somewhere, followed by a tweet from one of the devs, Julian Narden on Twitter, saying that they were still working on the character model for Savathun when building Season of the Lost. So Season of the Lost opened with that off-camera reveal of Savathun's form. So at that point, they didn't have a model. So they did the like reverse shot, right, of Saint watching this thing kind of expand in front of him. So that's why you don't see her in the big transformation reveal. Then goes on to say 50% of game dev is figuring out possible solutions to creative problems. The other half is implementing them. Which, yeah, really interesting insight into the process of something like that, because granted, Season of the Lost, like it was what, a day or two before we had the Witch Queen showcase where they had clearly animation stuff figured out for Savathun, but they hadn't actually done the actual in-game model, is what this is kind of saying. Which is just so fascinating that they can do one but not have the other as a sort of byproduct of either. But yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess in a way rigging her for the cinematic trailer would be vastly different from then trying to scale that down and almost peel it back, because obviously unless you've got a super powerful GPU, your graphics are a lot less than what you're seeing in the game trailer.
Yeah.
And so I'd imagine the rigging and especially the textures would be vastly different between the two.
Yeah.
And doing that transformation scene, I can't imagine that would have been an easy animation to begin with.
Yeah.
So it's almost cost effective and time effective to do the reverse shot and kind of focus more on Saint and the Guardian
Yeah.
and Mara and stuff.
Well, I think
And
it's super
they're it's like
interesting.
it's an old school horror technique
Yeah.
to get a reaction rather than the action.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Is like it's so interesting because it also preserves the in-game reveal to a later date. You know,
Yeah.
like part of me was kind of expecting, okay, we've seen her, they've done the Witch Queen showcase, they're just gonna, when it was sort of building up to that in the cutscene, I was like, cool, they're just gonna do it, and then they didn't. They just kind of showed the reactions to it. So does that now mean, you know, like at some point between now and Witch Queen, or just the opening of Witch Queen is like, here she is? But it means that
I
they've
think it'll
preserved that until then, which is really fascinating that it's come out of what was a technical limitation.
Yeah, and I think it ended up, like I said just then, it ended up being a really interesting storytelling technique because you're seeing their reactions. So that transformation between Osiris and Savathun is in your head.
Mm.
And to me, my brain went body horror, like
Yeah.
Jinji Ito
Yeah.
body horror. Like,
Yeah.
how does this giant being, and also like my brain also played into the moth aesthetic.
Yes.
And I'm
And then you
like,
see the
so
big crystal.
did she kind of come out like a moth? Like, bleh,
Ugh.
yucky.
What happened to Osiris's body? Did it just get like peeled off?
Yucky.
Oh.
And that's
Oh.
my brain, and it's just like looking at the terror and like
Yes.
shock on all the characters. Obviously not Saint, but I think they did a really good job in portraying him being scared and like afraid by just his body movements.
Yeah.
Like you're watching a giant man recoil and almost like fold in on himself a little bit.
Yeah. You know what it, like, the thought, and I can't believe this hasn't crossed my mind before, like, because they're giving like so much emotional weight to the character of Saint 14, are we going to get a like Samus Aran helmet off reveal of Saint at some point?
He's an exo,
Yeah,
so there's
but he's
not
got a
really a
face
lot.
under there.
There's not really a lot to reveal, I guess.
But I just I don't know if there
Notice.
is like a I don't know if there's like a canonical description of what his face is like under that helmet, because
You
you
know
could,
what?
you know, there could be something really interesting going on under there. You don't
As
know.
a
Hey
Saint
Saint,
fan,
what that mouth do?
no, Osiris knows. Schmidt's homie. No, actually, as a Saint fan, like a massive Saint fan, a Saint simp, if you will,
Mm.
I think they should leave him a mystery.
I mean, I'm always a fan of preserving mystery and just going like, no, fuck you. We don't need to explain that.
Yeah, I felt the same way about Master Chief.
Yeah, true.
Face isn't important. We don't need a reveal. Leave him a mystery forever.
Yeah, and to like a to a similar extent, the first John Wick movie, where they're like sowing all these seeds of mythology around like these coins that have like apparently infinite value, and like all of these references to like organizations and things that are happening with no explanation. I love that shit.
Yeah,
'Cause
and then
you
through
end
the
up just like
movies,
thinking about it yourself, and you're like, wait, go back. What was that though?
the layers kind of get slowly peeled.
Yeah, but
Not
only
even
some of
that
them.
alluded to,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah. But yeah, just like just a very interesting insight into the making of Destiny and what was ultimately like a very short part of the season. It was basically like the opening 10 minutes, maybe.
Mm.
It was contained within that. Excuse me, that beer is just repeating on me. But yeah, I can't. That PlayStation article that was sort of that brought that comment in. I don't think there was much more in there. They were more talking about like how early the seeds of Savathun's story were actually sowed, and
Which
I
is
think we spoke about it at one point where it was basically that point on the moon where Sagira dies. That was essentially it, and that's when
Yeah,
Savathun got in.
and I mean with Witch Queen probably going to be a lot more revealed.
Hmm.
Like how deep it actually runs will probably become clear over the lifespan of Witch Queen
Yeah.
as an expansion. And the game moving forward to the final shape, like
Hmm.
we're probably going to get a lot more of that. But I mean, worst case scenario, we can always do like an episode about it
Yeah.
one day, maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
Sit down and break it down and nerd
Episode
out over it.
fucking I don't know 40.
Yeah. I mean, we spent episode 2 and 3 nerding out over it, so
Yeah, we did. Yeah. There was. I mean, I dropped this thing in here. It's like a tweet about the 30th anniversary, the 6-player activity that's coming with that.
So
I
excited
completely
for a new
well, it's
six-man.
called Dares of Eternity, and there's like Trials of the Nine symbols on it. I completely forgot that that was just in the Witch Queen showcase. I was like, oh, new stuff. No, you idiot! It's old. We knew this.
I'm
Um,
so excited for a new six-man.
yeah, that'll be fun. I don't know if that is the like thing that's Loot Cave adjacent. I think it might be because there's also like a dungeon coming in that might. I don't know. Look, it's like 3 weeks away. We'll find out soon enough. Holy fuck! I'm so excited. I also
Coming
like
up so quick.
yeah. I also because it was like Halo were doing their 20-year, as was Xbox, their 20-year anniversary like this past week, and the Halo Infinite multiplayer beta dropped as part of that. And I gotta be honest, I installed that and was playing a bit of Halo, and honestly, it feels weird on mouse and keyboard because I never did the Master Chief Collection.
Mm.
But just like it still weirdly got me nostalgic of like, oh, these are Halo guns. This is Halo armor, and like hearing the fucking music, I was like, damn, this shit do be hitting. This is my bag. Uh,
One of
yeah,
my
I don't know if I'll keep playing it, but it was fun to just try that out for a bit.
one of my friends that I met through being in the Australian Youth Choir. He's a opera singer now,
Uh huh.
a tenor
Yo,
vocalist.
was he in that thing in Sydney? Is that what you're leading up to? Uh,
No, obviously
so
not then.
okay, no, I will explain that,
I was
but go on.
going to say he and the homies because he's got a group that he performs with at events and weddings and stuff. Did the classic stand in the men's bathroom and sing the theme and
Yes,
Snapchatted that to me the other day and I was like, yes.
yes. No, the thing they did up in Sydney, as part of like a video package they put together for the 20th anniversary, it was like a half-hour thing, similar to like the Witch Queen showcase, where they're cutting between people that look like they're presenting on a stage, but they cut to well, they cut first to like an acknowledgement of country being on Gadigal land, and then they showed a basically like a mini orchestra setup, like full uh, string section, horn section, and a small choir set up. You know, they're here on the grass, Opera House in Sydney behind them, just doing like a bunch of slapping Halo music, obviously finishing with the main Halo theme. And I will not lie to you. I was sitting there trying to drink my coffee in the morning, watching it, and I started crying. I was like, "This shit is just so tight." Like, it. I didn't realize how much it kind of meant to me when I was growing up. I didn't realize, and it's only now where I'm like, "Oh shit!" Like, this is actually really really cool that they're doing this, like celebrating it like this, and they did a lot of really cool things with like how they laid out the orchestra so that from an overhead shot and with some lighting they did, it made up like the shape of the O from the Halo logo. Yeah, it was
I have
just
to
like
check this out.
some really cool touches. I will never not fucking bang that Halo theme. That it's so good. Just such a good tune. But yeah, and like I watched that and I was like, fuck it, I'll install this Infinite Beta. I'll see what's up. Um, it feels kind of weird, but that's mostly because I've been playing a lot of Destiny.
Yeah, true.
Kind of makes me want to like get the Master Chief Collection and just play through all of those games on easy, just to binge that story essentially. Because I might just
Yeah,
because I've got Game Pass, like I might just get Infinite and just play through that, but just
tickle
to
that little nostalgia
that's it, yeah.
bubble.
Yeah, see if I can just like speed run fucking 6 Halo games before Infinite comes out. I think it's supposed to come
Do it
out
on
like in
stream.
December.
Do it on stream.
I don't know if I have that much time. So many Halos. Jason Statham. It's a
How will
second
I
shot,
hold
man.
all of these halos?
Fuck. How do I stop the Halo relay? Or Halo array? No, it's Mass Effect relay. Halo
Oh
array.
no!
Goddamn, too many space games.
How do I open Kingdom Hearts? Ah!
You don't. That's the secret way to win. Huh. Um, next one, you dropped this in here. The
Uh,
the Guardians MH, Guardians Mental Health, which seems like it's like officially endorsed by Bungie, right?
it is.
Yeah.
Bungie gave them assets and resources to build all of their materials from. Bungie were 100. So my
Can you
understanding,
explain to me what it actually is? Like,
so
is
I think my understanding was it originally started as just a not even not for profit, just a bunch of Destiny homies hanging out and being like, yo, mental health is really important.
Mhm.
And it kind of built from there. And
Right?
then they became a non for profit. So, and then I think through their not for profit work and their work in the community surrounding mental health, because we
Hmm.
know Bungie finds mental health important and they
Hmm.
find social matters important. Bungie said, yeah, we like this. This is good. We like this. And I think rather from the stuff I've read and the interviews I read and the website, rather than Bungie be like, this is ours now, we're going to have a mental health initiative,
Yeah.
they said, hey, instead of taking this thing that you've worked so hard on and detracting from it by being like, oh, well, now Bungie has a mental health at Bungie,
Yeah.
they went, hey, what if we threw some money at you? We gave you access to resources and then also a few of the devs and a few of the creative people behind it.
Mm.
And I think a few of the higher up people have put their hand up and said, yes, we support this and given quotes and
Yeah.
resources and
Cool.
feedback. And
Yeah, because I think there's a difference between like the stuff that has showed up in Bungie news posts about like trans at Bungie, black at Bungie. Those are more internal focused on the employees at Bungie, whereas this I think is focused more on people who play the game,
yes,
right?
yeah. So this is more mental health in the community.
Mm.
And obviously Bungie being like, yeah, this is super important. We need to look after the homies and we
Yeah,
need to make sure guardians know that if they're struggling, they can reach out.
but their primary thing is like physical goods, right?
So they do a resource pack,
Yeah.
and I think we'll link their stuff below because
Mm.
mental health is important. And
Hmm.
we've always, like a few episodes ago, we were talking about how important it is.
Yeah, for
But
burnout.
I think we'll definitely link their stuff
Yeah.
because it's amazing the work they do. But they have physical packs that you can request
Yes,
that are free, or you can. It's like it's a bit like
but it only ships to the US, I think.
only the US,
Yeah.
but they have made digital versions of the packs available to international guardians.
Yeah, the
So
little bit
it's
I did look into it, it looks like shit that's ripped out of Destiny in terms of like the design on it
yeah,
and
so
all that.
Bungie gave them assets. Bungie gave them marketing
Yeah,
of like marketing access. Those the whole it's not someone being a weirdo and just infringing. Bungie have given them the full go ahead and
yeah,
partnered with
cool.
them. But like people are starting to post the physical packs
Right,
and they look amazing. Like there's a journal in it called Dim, funnily enough, which I love.
great.
Um, a whole bunch of box breathing techniques for anxiety.
You know,
Um,
there's a weapon perk called box breathing, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's great. There's a
Yeah,
mindfulness coloring book. I'm
yeah,
just looking at it now. Guardian meditation, and they've
right.
gotten community members and voice actors from the game who walk you through the meditation.
Damn, I want Lance Reddick to fucking tell me how to box breathe. That's what I want. Is that
Four seven,
what tier do I have to subscribe at to get that?
right? Uh, 4-7-8 breathing, 5-4-3-2-1 grounding techniques. A lot of things to help with
Mm,
um anxiety and panic. And they've even got a resource that is I downloaded it because
right.
I love mental health stuff. They've got
Mm,
a safety plan resource.
okay.
So if your mental health is feeling a bit risky bisky,
Uh-huh.
it helps you structure a safety plan and
And then
you
you
can
would
take
give that to
you
people
can
around you.
take this card to someone and be like, "Hey, I'm a bit risky bisky at the moment.
Hmm.
Here's my safety plan.
Sure.
Here's what I want for myself while I'm struggling."
Yeah.
And a they call it a gratitude inventory, which is just it's a Destiny version of gratitude journaling,
Okay.
which is a proven psychological technique that when you are struggling and you're feeling really down, sit down and find 1 to 5 things every single day that you're grateful for,
Okay. Yep.
and just really focus in on that
Mm.
rather than it's hard, obviously, rather than everything else going on in your brain, you feel like shit, the world is falling down. Take these 5 instances that you're grateful for and really just hone in and experience that positive emotion of being grateful or
Yeah.
being uplifted by something. And yeah, it's amazing. I'm like looking at it. It's just I wish they shipped internationally because I would
Yeah.
proudly put that shit in my background
Yeah.
if I
Right.
could. But the digital pack is just as great.
Yeah. Yeah. That's sick. Yeah. I'll look. I've made a note, which is what I was doing before, so that I will actually put it in the description below. Because yeah, they've got a whole website for this stuff. They've got a Twitter account. They've got all the things you'd probably expect from something like this. But yeah, very cool to see them get like, the stamp of approval, but then also to be given just a stack of resources to go and build something that is pretty
It's
cool, but
incredible.
without feeling like it's like pandering in a sense of like, hey, it's this kind of journal, but we've just made it look like Destiny. It's like, no, it actually is. It's both, right? Like it's what it needs to be for the mental health stuff, but it's also it feels organic, like it's part of that universe in a way. It's not just slapping a sticker on it.
Yeah, and I mean, if this is what it takes for someone to be honest
Yeah.
with their like with their mental health, or this is what it takes for someone who is embarrassed to talk about their mental health to reach out and say, "Hey, I'm actually in a really dark place at the moment, guys.
Mm.
Here's my safety plan." Or a guardian learns the
Yeah.
box breathing technique, and
Yeah.
is able to use that in everyday life. Maybe not for themselves, but a loved one, a friend, a fire
Mm.
team member.
Yeah, and that's it. Like it kind of functions in a way like like representation for minorities, where it's like this is now relevant to me, whereas the stuff I'd come across before isn't. Not saying that's me, but just like a hypothetical person of like, these mental health concepts before I've bounced off them, but this packaging for some people might be their way in the door.
Yeah. It's amazing. I'm yeah, thoroughly. We both love psychology and mental health. We're both big mental health advocates, so
Mm-hmm.
like we will forever geek out over stuff like this.
Oh hell yeah! And then also, I think the just a slight tangent. The emblem that they put out for the trans pin or the trans I mean you get it with the trans pin obviously, but they also just made that freely available to everyone. I think that happened after our last
It
episode.
happened. We both claimed it during our last stream. So yeah,
Right, yeah.
the
So
week
after our last
before.
episode, that is just super cool because in the past they've had like they had the Black Lives Matter pin, they had one for Pride, I think. They've done like 2 or 3 of these, and the emblem in game has always been attached to you have to go buy the pin, which fair enough, they do that with a lot of their merch, but very cool to see them just be like, nah, everyone gets this one actually. Like,
Yeah, I really liked it because I'm in a point in my life right now where I can't afford to buy the pin, and I would
yeah,
have loved to buy the pin because trans rights are human rights.
yes,
Um, and I have the Pride at Bungie and the BLM or the Black at Bungie
hmm
pins as well. But right now I can't afford the trans at
oh dude,
Bungie
also
pin.
like the shipping would be more than the pin to get it to
Yeah.
Australia.
So for me having that emblem to at least be like, yes, I'm here.
Yeah.
I see you. I'm queer, but I'm not trans.
Hmm.
And I understand. Like I'm here. Like we homies.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I will fight. I
yeah,
will fight anyone.
yeah, exactly. That was very cool because that's always something that like as a like fully cis het white man, I often struggle with is like see these posts come up specifically with Bungie of like here's the Black Hat Bungie initiative, here's the Trans at Bungie initiative, like, and I always struggle with like what's the best way I can help, and like in that context, right? Like when it comes to work or personal life, that's a different bag. But like with this, it's like cool. I can put this emblem on, and then if I match in with someone, and they might not be flying the emblem, but they might be trans, and they might be like, oh shit, this is actually, you know, they're starting to see that kind of reflected back at them of like, this community isn't as bad as I thought it was potentially.
Yeah. And at least for a couple of games of Trials or a couple of games of Crucible, they know they're in a safe space.
Exactly. Yeah, that's kind of that's why I really appreciated them just like giving it to everyone.
Well, yeah, in relation to that, I've seen tweets from trans guardians and trans content creators who are like, yo, I lobby up with 4 other people who have the Transit Bungee emblem, and they're
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm not afraid to get in the OVC. Like, I'm
Yeah,
not afraid to get into team chat
yeah,
because I know I'm safe.
yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, that's really important as well that these people, oh my God, that's the worst wording,
No,
but
but
trans people
yes,
have safe a safe place within gaming.
yes, yeah. And if all that means is I fly an emblem and I forget about it, you know, because I don't change my emblems all that often. If I'm honest, I'll find one and be like, that's cool, put it on the bill, and then look at it like 3 months later when I get another one that I like the look of.
Yeah.
You know, if I fly this for a while and that does something good for someone, then great. That's
Yeah.
that's really cool.
And that's it. That's allyship in a nutshell. It's like it may seem inconsequential to you,
Mm-hmm.
but it could change someone's day.
Yeah,
And you don't have to make a big deal out of it. You
yeah,
can be an ally
dude.
without
This
screaming about it.
I mean, on this water bottle, like this Rainbow X-Man sticker, I was like in a work call with a guy who, in the past, had struggled with coming out at work, and I just like wasn't even thinking about it. Took a drink while on that call, and it was just like me and him. It was just like getting to know each other, and he just like called it out, and he's like, "That's actually really cool that you just have that." And I was like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I'd completely forgot about it because it's like I'm drinking out of this bottle and it's at the bottom. I didn't even see it, but it's like I've presented it to the camera like that." So yeah, little things like that. I think about doing that more and more, of just like little signals that I'm a safe person, um, without going down that road. You remember there was that time when people were like, I'm gonna like put a paperclip or something on my jacket, and now people know I'm safe. It's like, yeah, that's so easy to abuse. That's not anyone's symbology. That's just a thing you've made up. Or something like that. It's like, okay, that's more easily recognized as what I meant it to be.
Yeah. I mean, my work lanyard has a trans ally pin, LGBTQI youth ally pin. Like I got a lot of stuff from like Wear It Purple
Yes. Yep.
and that group. And I wear that at work just because our turnover rate is so big that we're constantly meeting new people, and I want people to, in really calm and not shouty ways, even if they walk past my desk and they see that
Mm.
pin on my lanyard, they know it's safe.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, it also goes the other way. It makes it really easy to weed out shitheads.
shitheads,
Yeah.
yeah.
So they come in, they're like, oh, what do you support that for? It's like, all right, bye, block. I don't care
But
who you are.
without doxing myself, working in the industry I work in, I've
Mm.
also been approached by a lot of people who would typically be like, who are straight white dudes who are
Mm-hmm.
just like, hey, yo, like, can I ask you a question? And they're asking from a genuine point of like,
Trying to learn more.
I want to be better about this.
Yeah.
How can I help our clients who fall into, and it's like, they know they can approach me with those questions because of these tiny little signifiers.
Yeah.
And the emblem could be the same thing,
Yeah.
especially in a Discord server.
Yeah.
You fire
True.
team up with someone that you don't normally fire team up, and you've got that emblem. That's a conversation you could be having, an educational moment you could be having with someone.
Yeah. Yeah. There was a kind of a similar thing that I came across just because I was, I'm trying not to look at like the Destiny subreddits, but every now and then I still do. But there was a program in there that I think it's been running since like September, called, was it Big Guardians Little Lights, which is kind of
Yeah.
like not as much of a sort of social justice focus, but it's more like the Big Guardians part of it is like people who are very familiar with the game, people like us, being Sherpas to people that are either new to the game or returning lapsed players, and just kind of like guiding them into all of the systems and the lore and whatever they want to know more about. And that's the kind of thing, actually, now thinking about this, where flying that emblem, for example, like might make a world of difference to someone who's trying to break back in. Maybe all they've seen is like a bunch of shitty white dudes on Twitter yelling about how Destiny's a dead game, right? And then they're like, no, but I love the space magic. I want to talk about the space magic with someone. And that might be something that, you know, helps them decide to stay in this community long term.
Yeah. I'm interested in joining that program, but I think I would be more interested, and this is just, I guess, I hate the word in this context, but trauma
Yeah,
from being a female in gaming.
sure.
Um, I think I would be very interested in Sherpering other female players
Yeah.
or LGBTQIA players.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'll tell you because I signed up. I put in the application because that's what it is. It's basically just an open text box, and they're like, "Why do you want to do this?" There's no like, you're not trying to tick a bunch of boxes. It's just like, I haven't heard anything back, but it's basically just like, why you? So, you know, if you want to dump in there that motivation, that might be something they're looking for. But I've also just made another note. I will put a link down below to their website because I think it's a really cool idea. I've always liked the idea of you ever seen guided games? That like thing that is still listed as a beta feature among raids. I've always liked the concept behind that of I'm going to put myself down as someone who will guide a team through a raid, and all it needs is like the rest of that team to go into that matchmaking queue. In theory, I like the idea. It's just no one ever did it. No one's ever in that queue, or people. It's like the worst parts of LFG bleed into it, from what I've heard. But something like this is a bit more, yeah, something like this is a bit more focused around like, oh, who the fuck is Shohan? Oh, let me tell you. Have you seen Fast and the Furious?
Yeah. And then hand in hand with that, they've probably got a pretty decent reporting system too. So if you come across a Guardian
Yes.
or a Light that are a little bit
Yeah.
shitty.
Yeah. It's from what I can see from the outside, it seems fairly well set up. I imagine they've had a lot of interest with that post on Reddit. It's kind of just surfacing up. So big ups to them. We should probably talk about the TWAB now that we're some, like, I don't know, 30, 40 minutes into this episode.
We're done geeking out over like
nice
the
things.
parts of the Destiny
But no,
community
look,
that we love so much. We geek out hard over the Destiny community.
the TWAB is not like, it sounds like
Not
you're
a
setting it
negative.
up as a negative thing.
No. I
It's a
just like
different
geeking out over the
different side of
community.
things. Yes. Look, go and read it for yourself. Set aside half an hour to an hour. Get a cup of coffee. Get something like to just keep you going, because there's a lot in this fucking thing. Usually we record Thursday night, as we've mentioned before. So that means, like, with our time zones, the TWAB. How are we saying it again? TWAB.
I say TWAB.
TWAB.
It's well, the twat argument, isn't it?
No, okay. So it's spelt like swab. That's where I get it. Anyway, the TWAB.
But at is a ah sound.
I mean, I know. So the TWAB, because it sounds less dirty, I think.
TWAB.
TWAB. No, I should say TWAB because it's not an O. Fuck. This
TWAB.
Sucks. I hate this. Okay. It's a big one. But yes, what I was saying is we usually record Thursday night, and time zones mean that the TWAB drops for us Friday morning at like 4 a.m.
Yeah.
So, and that was like honestly part of the reasoning with when we scheduled how we make the show, is like we didn't want to just be a weekly TWAB report, because there's enough people doing that already. And I've already seen, there's a guy I follow on Twitch, he posted a 45-minute TWAB breakdown, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. So go and read it for yourself. My advice would be, don't read too much into the numbers until the patch drops in 3 weeks' time. But essentially, abilities are dead, long live abilities. Everything's getting a fucking overhaul. There's a lot in there. The general, and you can correct me if I'm wrong or if you picked up different parts, but the general theme seems to be, since Beyond Light, they made a bunch of engine changes, and that has kind of set them up for what they're doing now, which is every ability now can have an independent cooldown, even if you're talking about grenades across classes and subclasses. Whereas before, it's been like, your grenade will take this long to cool down no matter what you're playing. Now, depending on what grenade you're running, which obviously means which class or subclass you're running, basically like each of those will have an independent cooldown based on how potent or how powerful they are in game. They're also doing things around like super regen rates and breaking them down into different categories, depending on like how powerful they actually are to use. Notably, the thing with the fastest regen is Well of Radiance, and everything else is in a different category. There's like 5. I think they had 5 tiers of super regens, and it was Well of Radiance at the top. Everything else is below that, going down to like I think roaming supers are down in the slowest. But basically, they're also pitching this as when they go to do, they're doing Void 3.0 with Witch Queen. They're also talking about when they do Solar and Arc. They're talking about this as, they're setting it up so that Void, Solar, Arc will all work similar to how Stasis does now, where you're picking all the fragments and aspects. I think that's kind of where they're heading, but that also means you're tuning things a lot more within your build, not just them tuning it for balance, but you can have a lot more control and things will actually feel different.
Yeah.
It's fucking wild how big this patch is going to be, and that it's like that they're timing it with the 30th anniversary stuff. I would have thought like the event big enough, do it on its own, but no, they're just going to drop probably one of the biggest like balance changes, patches, whatever you want to call it, in a long time, if not all of Destiny.
Yeah.
It's actually crazy how much is changing. And this is the thing. This is why I had that preamble. Is like, I don't know if it's good or bad. I could sit down and like crunch the numbers for how I play and come up with how I imagine it might feel.
Yeah.
But it's also only 3 weeks away, and I don't want to start like changing my build now for things that haven't happened yet. So I'm just going to like let it ride. I'm going to go into that 30th anniversary, play my usual classes, my usual builds, see if that feels any amount of like significantly different, and then go from there.
Yeah. I just took a quick look, and it does look like support supers are prioritized in terms of the rate.
Yeah, in terms of like recharge.
Sense.
Yeah.
That support supers would recharge quicker than something as hard hitting as like a Thunder Crash or a Shadow Dive or even a Chaos Reach.
And you want to know, like I was thinking about this today, like a lot, honestly, because it came out this morning. I had to get up super early to take my car to get service, so I was like reading it before I left at like 6 in the morning, and then it's been sitting in my brain all day. But I was thinking about this from like an in-universe perspective, right? If we are channeling the power of the light for these abilities, the abilities that are the most powerful should take longer to recharge because we're using more of that power. So this actually feels like it's more correct to do it this way. And they have said like this is not the final state. They will tune this and balance it and move it around. But it feels kind of like, it feels satisfying in that way of like, this grenade does more damage, so it should take longer for you to get it because you've used all your... It's like mana points, right? Like you've used it all up. You need longer to get it back.
Yeah, and then even on just like a cute little fun, like, ooh, isn't that sweet? It's like, yeah, of course the support abilities are also going to recharge quicker under that logic too, because
they do no damage.
The light is. We're being told the light is the Guardians going out and doing good. So even by your logic, it's like, well, yeah, it makes sense that the support the support abilities would get recharged quicker, because wouldn't the Traveler and all those beings on that side of the fence want you to be doing that?
Yeah. There was also like some really interesting stuff about how they're actually treating PvP and PvE differently, which historically they haven't done, but I think that's because they haven't been able to.
Yeah.
where you have balance patches in the past, and they're like, well, if we tweak this here, it's going to break over here in PvP for these reasons. But now they're doing things like essentially nerfing Shadow Dive a whole bunch for PvP, but in PvE they're making it more powerful. It's fucking bonkers. Like,
Yeah. And yeah, they set that up really well too
yeah,
by breaking down what they're talking about when they talk about something like the sandbox, like that
yes,
opening thing. Like
that was
here are
really, really important that they did that.
here are terms you're going to be hearing a lot in the next few updates.
But also terms that people in the community
Are
often
misusing.
rampantly abuse and use
Yeah.
incorrectly.
Um, you know, uh, until today, I didn't realize someone I used to know used sandbox incorrectly all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those things where I was like, oh,
Yeah,
so I was right the whole
yeah,
time.
yeah,
But, and that's a lot of fun that they're looking at the two game modes almost separately and then tweaking within them individually.
yeah,
Which means you're going to definitely have a Crucible build, you're going to have a Raid build, you're going to have a PvE build. Like,
yeah,
it is pushing people to diversify a little bit more. I know it's going to push me to diversify,
yeah.
especially if something like Arc gets broken down like
Mm.
Stasis is right now,
Yeah,
like with the different aspects. That's going to push me to diversify outside of Stasis and Arc,
yeah.
probably.
And I mean, there's so to get like a little bit specific, there was some stuff in there about Titan shoulder charges, right? In PvP, they're essentially a one shot, so they're basically taking that away. And then there was a tweet earlier today from DMG, basically said like, "Hey, you might feel bad about shoulder charges getting a bit of a nerf, but may I recommend to you the leg exotic Peregrine Greaves, which boost all shoulder charge abilities provided you do them from the air." And that's the thing. I've never used Peregrine Greaves. I'm a Titan main. There's entire sets of Titan armor I've never used, or Titan exotic armor. And these kind of changes, I have to imagine it's the same for a lot of people, are going to force rebuilds. They're going to force thinking about different items, different mods. Yeah, it might be a little bit painful at first, but it's certainly interesting.
Mm.
You know, like having to rethink whether or not this is going to break my main Titan build. I don't know yet. Like I know that Hammer of Soul, the roaming Titan, throw the hammers everywhere super.
Oh, the Hemis of Demis.
Yeah, that's now in the category of supers that takes the longest to recharge. I don't know if that's going to affect how I play that build,
Mm.
but I'm going to find out. And that to me is super, super interesting, especially when they're adding extra like weapon buffs and tuning patches there. Yeah, it's exciting, and I was not ready during what we thought was the quiet period to have something like this drop on us. Very interesting about them kind of bringing back a point they'd made previously about what they want their Crucible focus to be, with number one being a focus on gunplay over abilities just kind of doing everything, which
Yeah.
like I get it, and I'm not someone who kind of builds towards just throwing abilities everywhere. I actually really like the gunplay side of things in PvP. So it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out, because I certainly know what they mean about super o'clock. They mention that in quotes, super o'clock in a Crucible match, when you get to a certain point in the match and basically everybody super pops at the same time or thereabouts. So it'll be good. It'll be good to see that kind of settle down, and see what happens with people having to think about guns a bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Staggering out those supers too.
yeah, and the thing that I'm curious about is like how the focus back on gunplay shifts the meta, right? Because so much of it is like, this gun, that gun, cool. What if you're running this class? You've got to be running this grenade, and it's like there's definitely archetypes that people fall into. But if they're focusing back on weapons, it's like, okay, this kind of maybe brings that variability in a bit. I don't know. What I mean, I doubt they'll do this, but I hope they're not overcorrecting to it's all about guns, abilities are bullshit, and then it just becomes like another, I don't know,
Another
online shooter,
FPS.
and you kind of lose the magic, the space magic. I can't imagine that's what it turns into. But I wonder how far their desire to have gunplay be the focus for PvP. I wonder how far that goes. I wonder how far that takes us.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, very, very interesting times ahead. And when I say ahead, it's, well, now it's,
3
2.5
weeks away.
Well, less than that now, but
Still.
I'm like, I was already excited for the 30th anniversary, and now I'm excited for everybody's shit to get fucking rocked.
I'm gonna see. It'll be interesting to see
Yeah.
how Mayhem kind of changes a little bit too.
Yeah, true. I mean, Mayhem's always funny because it's like you just spam supers. That's the point.
Yeah.
But then, because like Blade Barrage, right? One that classically gets used in Mayhem a bunch with Shards of Galanor, very fast, very good refund as long as you can land the hits. You get that super energy back. That's in the, I think that's in the second highest tier for super regen rate. That's, I was not expecting it to be that high for how, because like if you're playing Blade Barrage and you're not running Shards of Galanor, what are you doing? But maybe this is the time where people rethink that, right? And they go, well, it's not this like hard dependency. It's not this hard pairing that you have to do if you're running that super anymore. I don't know. I'm very curious.
We're gonna find out.
Yeah. And fucking rip my YouTube algorithm, because I'm going to be seeing a lot of recommendations for like build recommendation videos and like, here's what you need to know about the December 7 patch, and like I'm just gonna tune all that shit out and see how it feels for myself. Thank you very much. Bye. Gosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll be good.
Also, Warlock slap fights.
Yeah. I've been training my whole life.
I like when they repeatedly referred to unpowered melees as slap fights, I lost my shit a little bit.
Yeah,
because
that's
it's
what
really
I've been
funny.
Go back to our Halloween stream. You can quite hear me give a little slap.
Yes, but like a slap fight just implies there's two guardians in PvP doing unpowered melee at each other. But yeah, so specifically under like, okay, so they broke down some of the changes like under each class. It gets to the Warlock section. The literal first thing is a paragraph on uncharged melee. Because apparently Warlocks have been just like tickling people.
The unpowered melee is low.
Yeah.
And it's not great.
Yeah. So
it's literally the animation is literally a palm too.
Yeah, it's just like that. But essentially all they're doing is making it work like the other two classes, where they're reducing the range, but also reducing the like time between doing it.
Yeah.
So you can do it a lot faster, but a lot shorter. Not a lot shorter. They're taking a meter off it. No, sorry, they're removing the 1 meter range extension Warlocks received. I didn't know you had them long arms just out here.
It's kind of like a track. So it like the Titan swing, how it kind of lunges you forward.
Yeah.
If you track and lock on and do the unpowered melee, the Warlock kind of flies forward. It's a little bit goofy. It's from first person and third person, it looks goofy as fuck.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
Yes.
But like it's not as dramatic as like a knife or a big like wheeled back and just swing like whole body into the punch movement. It's like
yeah, and the hunters
like it's
just
almost like
like
you're being lunged forward.
The hunters there like throwing it, just like backhand stabbing a knife in the throat. It's like, what do you how are you allowed to have that?
The Warlock unpowered melee is goofy as fuck, and that's probably why I abuse it as much as possible.
Well, look, come December 8th for us. Come December 8th, you'll be able to do it a lot faster.
Yeah, I'll be able to piss you off quicker.
Just out here like this. I like honestly, when I saw that that was the first item under Warlocks, I almost screenshotted it and sent it to you at 6 in the morning. I was like, fuck, I can't believe they've done this.
I can't believe you've done this. It's just a warlock slapping it. Oh my god. Someone make that happen, please.
Oh my god.
I need that animated, please.
No, it's like game footage, Warlock doing that, and then at the end of the animation it cuts to that vine of like the guy getting smacked in the face.
Can't believe you've done this.
So funny.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I've been training for the last 12 months for this moment.
Just ridiculous. Yes, that is us fucking skimming the surface of this update. There is stuff in there that is all percentages and sentences and seconds and meters, and there's hard numbers in there.
Yeah, but
that
we're
mean
not
nothing
nerds,
to me right now.
So we don't care.
Yeah.
Bunch of nerds.
I'm gonna get in there on December 8th to be like, this feels mostly the same. I'll get used to it. Or I'm gonna be like, fuck this build. Time to do a new one.
Yeah.
But what I'm gonna do between now and then is start like stockpiling materials just in case I need to do a full new build. Like if I need to like masterwork a piece of armor all over again.
Glimmer, mod components.
Yeah, and it's good too because
cores.
this week it's double Nightfall rewards. So if you want to pick up some glow sticks, I know just the place, provided you're willing to put up with the hollowed layer strike a lot. It's not nice. It's pretty bad.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
It's kind of a drag.
Tried to be glass half full on that one, and then I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine. I wouldn't do the GM. Like, I only just got Conqueror. I don't think I'm ready to do that GM.
I'm good.
Yeah, no thank you. I didn't have anything else specifically from the TWAB I wanted to talk about. Mostly because I want to read it again and
really dig.
Yeah, see what I can pick up. But that's kind of the big stuff, is all the different balance stuff that we talked about, and it's huge. Go read it for yourself.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to tell you.
Well,
there wasn't much else in it though. It was just all nerd shit.
And also, like, it's one of those TWABs that TWAB. It's one of those this week's at Bungie's.
No, say TWAB. Like,
pardon me, TWAB.
Yes.
Oops, sorry.
That's fine.
That everyone is going to take something different away from it.
Yeah.
Like, depending on the way you play and the type of Guardian you are, you're going to see a different section in that's going to have, it's going to be weighted more for you than other sections.
Yeah. I know basically everybody I play Destiny with looked at the point that said Titan shoulder charges will no longer be a one-hit kill, and we're just like, good. They're stupid. They're stupidly overpowered.
Well, other than the unpowered melee, I'm interested in the super change stuff, because until recently I was primarily a support Guardian. I used I used rifts, I used a lot of like overshield stuff, so support stuff being a quicker recharge rate is going to be interesting. It might push me back into the support
but that's
role.
for supers. The thing I completely forgot to mention is like they're talking a lot about abilities themselves regenerating more based on you actually getting into gunfights, rather than it just being a passive wait for it to come back.
Yeah,
that's going to change up a lot of playstyles. I feel like if it, like, you'll still have, I think, from what I'm taking from this, you'll still have a passive recharge rate, but it will be better if you're actually playing the game,
clearing ads and in Crucible, trying to at least make kills.
Yeah, and I wonder how much of that will change things like some of the mods, for example, that like give you grenade energy or melee energy by picking up orbs of power and those sorts of things. I wonder if that's going to shift much. But again, it's kind of difficult to know now. As detailed as that TWAB was, it's kind of difficult to know for sure what it looks like once that patch drops.
Yeah.
And then also, like, they will do more refinement and tuning and balancing and probably a whole bunch of changes for when Witch Queen drops, because we're getting Void 3.0. A lot of this feels like setting up for that. But I wonder what else, because usually an expansion brings some fairly big changes with it.
Yeah.
So who knows? You know, December 8th to February 23rd is a long time.
Yeah. I'm excited to find out.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. As for now, I think that's kind of it for this here episode. Well, all that's left is to say thank you, as ever, for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Unless, I don't know, my car needs another service and I lose a whole day and fucking $700. What a day I've had. Yeah, please do all the usual things of liking and subscribing and rating and telling us, I don't know, your favorite part of this week's TWAB. Which percentage value was your most interesting? I don't know. I got nothing. Yeah, we will see you next week. As I said, I'm just repeating myself now. That's it. Goodbye.
Bye.